Crewton Ramone's House of Math. So, lots of information. And I used to have a concepts page here, but the concepts that are on that page, you can't get anywhere else on the internet. They don't exist. So now they're behind a paywall. But here, I'll give you a little taste of what's behind the paywall for the concepts page. And for those of you that are part of the super duper super secret math group, there will be more training and a longer version of this on the super duper super secret math page. Okay, so I'm going to try and keep this short, and like I said, go over to the super duper super secret math group for more. And by the time you're seeing this, perhaps you'll have to scroll a little bit to find it, because there's quite a bit of content on that page. And that page will be $27 for those people who have lifetime passes. It comes with Module 4, and $49 if you want to buy it all by itself with nothing else. But on that page, you get all my books and all kinds of Series A information and videos, because I was putting videos there as I was building pages, and I put some math camp in there. There's supposed to be 10 math camps there, or 10 math camp videos, but there's only 4 because only 4 survived. But they're there at the Facebook page, and you'll also see information like this. And the information that's on the other side of the concepts paywall is all kinds of good stuff. But basically this, here's one thing to start with. So the first thing is this triangle here. We're talking about the concrete. And when we talk about concrete, we're talking about literally things you can get your hands on, right? Things you can hold concretely, not concepts, not symbols or drawings, but the actual concrete where they can get their hands on it. Now, who does the concrete serve? Well, the concrete serves the kinesthetic learners. It also serves the auditory learners, those, because you're going to talk about, oh, this is 100, right? 3-period lesson. This is a 10. This is a unit. And we can build rectangles out of those guys. Okay, so they're hearing it, and they're seeing it, and they can get their hands on it. All right, now, to reinforce, so what are we hitting there? We're hitting all 3 of them. We're hitting the visual, auditory, and kinesthetic modes of learning. This is why this method is so effective, because we get them all from the get-go. So you start in the concrete. Whatever, I don't care how old they are. If they're little kids, and that's who you're going for the younger kids. But if they're older children, high school students, college students, men who have graduated college, blocks. Okay, that's where you always start. Now, the next thing, to reinforce the visual and make sure that they can visualize it, not just memorize it, is drawing. And being able to draw a simple picture, right? There's 100, there's a 10, there's a unit. And just drew that. And then finally, the symbols. I'll spell it out even. And the symbols will say, oh, that's 100, that's a 10, that's a unit. No picture there, but you should be able to picture it in your mind when you see these symbols. All right. The 3 of them combined, and you can do lots of these. You can do there's understanding, but the 3 of them combined leads to abstraction. Oops. And again, I will mention the fact that Mandelbrot said that when he could visualize it, when he could see it in his mind, the symbols fell into place. All right, that's one of the things you're going to see on the concepts page, and also in teacher training and so forth. Bring that home. The next thing you'll see through your period lesson, you'll see a bunch of other basic concepts that when you're presenting the Montessori method or Mortensen method here with math, the principles and concepts that you go through to make it easy and fun for your students. Now, and for you to do it, you have to understand why you're doing these things. So now, something simple as this. Most of you use flashcards or worksheets, and I always say those are the last things you use. But I've seen now, and just recently, like a couple of days ago, where the kids are great with memorization, right? 3 + 2 is 5, and 5 + 3 is 8, and 4 plus, right? They know those because they've been hitting them with flashcards, but they have no, I mean, they're just memorizing instead of understanding that if I had even something as basic, let's just keep it really small, one more time. As this, I can now start teaching huge concepts once the kid can count. Now, here's the thing that they need to have. They need to have a one-to-one correspondence. Now, you can't push the one-to-one correspondence as far as I've been able to see. You can practice and you can go through quite a bit with them when they're younger. But the one-to-one correspondence, that's fascinating to me because one day it's there, right? When previously it wasn't there. One day it just shows up where they go, instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Where they're counting and they've got a pattern going on. But then they get the one-to-one correspondence. 1, 2, 3. How many is this? 1, 2, 3. And they stop at 3, right? They don't go to 5. They don't, right? So they know. Okay. So once they have the one-to-one correspondence, we can go to town. All right. So what I have here is just looking at a 3. We're building a 3. And we see that 3 plus something more, right? Or excuse me, 2 plus something more makes a 3. Well, what more does it have to be? Well, it's visually obvious. We're starting here in the concrete that 2 plus 1 is the same thing as 3. Now, you can take this out either way and call that an X. You can call it a question mark. You can call it a blank. I'll tell you what, I'm going to use my purple crayon. I'll use my pink crayon. We'll call it X. All right, so what's it have to be? Well, they get the concept very quickly that in order to figure out what X is, I have to take this part away. I can literally, I need a piece of paper or something white, where I just, there's my hero 0. Look what's left, right? There's my hero 0, right there. There it is, my hero 0. There it is, right? The 3 take away the 2. I have to do it twice because I have this equal sign. Now I see here, because what we're doing is putting this, right, where I have this is the same as that. Okay, so now I can see, well, X has to be 1. And then, huge concept. Not just memorizing math facts. And we do it from the get-go, from when they're little, little. 5, 4, as soon as that one-to-one correspondence is happening. All right, so now, look at this. Oh, now I have to figure out that one. So I have this. I don't know what that is. Well, any little kid can tell you that, well, again, you see, I have to, there's my hero 0 right there. Oh, look, now I can see that one, oops. Well, fine, I'll do that. And then I have X is the same thing as the 3 minus the 1, which gives it 2. All right, this is a hugely important concept, for kids to understand. And what we have here is concept-based teaching. And on the other side of the concepts page, or paywall, you'll see various concepts that are important, and there's PDFs there and all kind of stuff. And like I said, if you want to see more concepts and more math that follows these lessons and goes a little bit further and a little more in depth, because I want to do a lesson on 11s. I love playing around with 11s. Lessons that I've forgotten that I'm going to add over there. And you can see how to present and why you present it, not just, it's concept-based teaching. It's not just memorization. 3 plus 2 is 1. Or excuse me, 2 plus, what did I just say? 3 plus 2 is 5. 2 plus 1 is 3. And just memorizing facts all day long, where they can, and then same thing as like when they're doing the multiplication, right? When we're doing multiplication, we start out with patterning and then we add more. So starting with something simple, like 3, 6, 9, right? That's a simple pattern. Well, how many 3s is 6? Well, that's 2 3s. How many 3s is 9? Well, that's 3 3s, but it's not visually obvious here, but it is. When we start playing with blocks, they can begin to see 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. I'll write it down here, 12, 15. And they can see 15 is the same thing as 5 3s. Right? But when they first start off, we're just singing songs, playing, having fun. And multiplication is the absolute milestone. I see so many people fall down on multiplication. Why? Because they use memorization technique, flashcards, and worksheets instead of using blocks, songs, kinesthetic, right? Where one of the things you can do is take a ball and you throw it to the other kid, and he says 6, and he throws it back to you, and you say 9, and you throw it to them, and they say 12, and backwards and forward. And if there's more kids, it's more fun, because then you have more children you can throw it to, right? And they can hear it. And then if you have more kids, like a row of them, where they're passing along, I should draw them here. These are the kids. Okay, so And they say 3, and then the next one says 6, and the next one says 9, and the next one says 12. Oh, look, the fourth kid is 12. So they get the idea that 12 is the same thing as 4 3s. And if you were playing toss across, where we're tossing these things back and forth, by the time they get to 12, they look down at their hands, and they see they have 4 3s. These are much more effective ways of getting the patterning and multiplication tables down, and they're fun too. It's more fun instead of just drudgery and filling out worksheet after worksheet or flashcards. So one of those basic concepts that you'll see on the other side is play and have fun. This is difficult for many adults because your experience with mathematics was not playing and not having fun. Your experience with mathematics was similar to mine when I was in senior year, where there were a lot of tears involved and frustration and anger because I couldn't understand what was going on. Anyhow, click the tab below, or the link below, and you get into the concepts page, which will have lots more on it for your enjoyment, and will make many of the concepts that are part of the Mortensen method and Montessori method clear to you, and there's even PDFs for you to download. All right, CrewtonRamone'sHouseOfMath.com for more, much more.